Yes, here we are being recorded. So if you ever want to go back to the meeting, you can always go to YouTube and have a look at it. And we have Sonia is with us. She just joined us. Dr. Alice Ann Crump and John is also with us too today. And then Valencia, who is our Zoom master for today. With that, I served as Toastmaster last week, and no one had signed up today. So I said, well, I will take on that role again today. So we decided that our theme, not a surprise, will be like Valentine's Day or love. And typically when the Toastmaster takes on that role, they establish a theme for the meeting. And then we try to integrate all the parts of the meeting with that theme. So we picked Valentine's Day for today. Our format is we do introductions, then Toastmaster takes the theme and explains it a little bit. And then our format is typically we have a few introductions in the beginning, then we have our speeches. Today we have 2 speeches, and then we listen to those. We have an evaluator give feedback on each of those speeches, and there's actually a whole form and a whole protocol for doing that. So it's very straightforward and simple. So after our speeches, then we go into table topics, and one of the members agrees to take on table topics, and we do that while maybe evaluators are working on their evaluation of the meeting. So that's our format. And then we do at the end, we do a general evaluation where we get to talk about what did we do well, what can we do better, and then hear evaluations and reports from different people. So that was probably more than you wanted to know, but I thought we have a little bit of time. So we are just trying to help every moment be a teachable moment. With that, I'm going to go to the members who have agreed to take on a role today. And our grammarian is Valencia. Valencia, could you tell us about that role?
Absolutely. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, welcome. I am serving as your grammarian today. And as your grammarian, I will look for all of our filler words that we use throughout our speaking, just to give some feedback on that. So when you say so, like, and it doesn't really fit, then I will make note of that to let you know how well you did with not using those, or if you use them a bit much. The other thing is usually our grammarian comes with a word of the day. And I think that because our theme is Valentine's Day, I will use a simple word. I think that we're going to all probably be able to use this word, adore. Now, I had not pulled up the exact definition of adore. I just thought that would be a good word of the day for us. So let me tell you what adore means. Adore is to love and respect someone deeply. A way that I could use this word is, I adore my son, Cornelius. Love and respect him deeply as his mother. If we can use the word of the day, we'll acknowledge that and let you know that you used it. Thank you so much, Debbie.
You're welcome. What a great word, adore. And what a great feeling to have for your child, or, just that family connection that everybody has. It really is about adoration and adoring each other. Our timer today is Sonia Pons. Sonia, could you please tell us a little bit about that role?
Fantastic. Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. As a timer in Toastmasters, we adore the fact that we get to usher you into the experience of what it means to be timely and to respect time management in a Toastmasters meeting. So today I'm going to be timing our prepared speeches as well as our table topics and evaluations. Our goal is for you to always go for the green. And when I say that, always look for this indication of green. If you are doing a prepared speech today, I'm assuming we're doing 5 to 7 minutes, you will see the green at 5 minutes. If you're doing a table topics, you will see the green at 1 minute. If you're doing evaluation, you will see the green at 2. For a prepared speech, 5 to 7 minutes, you will see the yellow, that's the caution light, at 6 minutes. And table topics, 1 minute and 50 seconds. And in your evaluation, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. Right in the red zone, you have hit your allotted time, but you do have 30-second grace period. So for a prepared speech today, 7 minutes, you're going to see the red, but you need to wrap up within 7 minutes and 30 seconds. For table topics, the red is at 2 minutes, but wrap it up as soon as you can. 30-second grace period, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you see the red as an evaluator, you've hit your 3-minute mark, but you can wrap it up in 30 seconds. With that, thank you for letting me share, and I look forward to hearing all of your speeches today.
Thank you so much, Sonia. And we learn that timing is so important. And in fact, we even had a contest, 2 weeks ago? And when you're in a contest, it's critical that you learn to follow the right timing. So this gives us great practice for those contests if you ever are inclined to want to be in a contest, which I hope we all do. And next, we're going to go to our table topics master. And that is going to be Dr. Alice Ann Crump. She has agreed to take on that role and has signed up for it. So Dr. Alice Ann, can you tell us a little bit about table topics?
Yes, I can. Table topic is giving us an opportunity to speak off the cuff. I'm going to ask some questions. Don't worry, it's not going to be hard. You can answer these questions. And you have 1 to 2 minutes to formulate an answer. Go for the green. That's my suggestion. Go for the green. Keep talking until you go for the green. Hope to have fun today, have some fun questions in store for us. Now that I know what the theme is, we are going to have a great time. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Dr. Crump. Table topics is fun, helps us really practice thinking on our feet. Next, we go to the general evaluator, and Valencia has agreed to take on 2 roles. So can you tell us a little bit about that role?
Yes, as general evaluator, I will give feedback on our meeting as a whole, from beginning to end, the things that stood out in our meeting, the things that we did well, some feedback on things we might want to think about for future meetings to make it better for everyone. So I'll observe our meeting and just give some feedback on it towards the end of the meeting.
Okay, great. That's a really a fun way to end our meeting. We think about what have we done right? What can we strive for the next time? And our last role that someone usually signs up for is our invocation or our joke master. And I do not believe anyone signed up for that. Does anyone have thoughts or things that come to your mind when you think about Valentine's Day or the love you might feel for anyone in your life, adoration? Does anyone have a thought they wouldn't mind sharing just to help us reflect on this theme? No.
Hey, team, I'll throw something out there. Love is important. Absolutely. People need people. But it's important that you love yourself. If you cannot love yourself, you cannot love others. So if it's just a small step of saying in the mirror, you look good today, or you had this outfit looks fantastic on you, even if you don't believe it, start saying it to yourself so you can start receiving love. And also, you got to be careful with this, but just like if you want a friend, you need to be a friend. If you want people to start loving on you, be mindful who you love on, but start loving on people. Trust me, when you pour into people, people will start pouring into you, and you'll get that inkling. And we call that back home, your intuition, that inkling in you that person maybe is not the right person for you. Listen to that. Don't let anyone take advantage of you, but never be afraid to love, and don't be afraid to love yourself. Thanks for letting me share.
Awesome job. And you said so many important things there, and you said, you really have to love yourself before you can love anyone else. I think that is so true. And it's important for us to remember that. So thank you for those words of wisdom, Sonia. All right. So with that, we've introduced the theme. We have introduced everyone who's going to take on a different role. We've gotten our invocation finished, and now we go to our first speaker. And our first speaker is Dr. Alice-Ann Crump. Dr. Alice-Ann has completed 11 pathways 2 times. She is, her description says she's diligently working on being a better communicator. I don't think she could work any harder than she has. And she is just an awesome speaker and has been a dedicated Toastmaster person as well. And she is our person who comes from the great city of Chicago. So she joins us long distance today. And she's going to talk about motivational strategies. This is path level number 4. And the title of her speech is called No is a Complete Sentence. And she will be speaking for 5 to 7 minutes. And for evaluation, we'll probably do round robin, and people can just listen. And if you don't mind, just jot down things that strike you as you listen to her as a speaker. And then we'll just have the audience share a few thoughts on her speech and her presentation. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Alice-Ann Crump, a distinguished Toastmaster.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. No. 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 What part of no don't you understand? The N or the O? Let me help you. No means no. For a long time, I thought I couldn't say no. I felt obligated to do something. I said yes, even though I wanted to say no. When I got to the point where I could say no, I thought I had to add a reason why I said no. I've come recently to discover that no is a complete sentence. I don't owe you an explanation for my no. If it's not something I want to do, no. If it's not something I can do, no. I find myself at this stage in my life saying no quite a bit. When my husband passed, each one of my children thought I needed to come and stay with them. No. But Mom, you don't have a job. And you... No. All of my children have children. And I love all 12 of my grandchildren. I don't want to be a built-in baby. So my answer was no. They do not understand no for whatever reason. When we came down to the place of how I'm going to pay for rent, I wasn't old enough to get my husband's Social Security, and I've never had a job. I left college, got married, been with this man for 40 years, never been on an interview, never filled out a job application, none of that. But I wanted to stay in my house, in my own apartment. My children decided, well, we need to help her. And their solution was, Mom, move in with one of us. Now, everyone to understand that you don't have to give a reason for saying no. You have your reason, and no means no. That's if you really mean no. Some of us have the habit of saying, well, no, and they don't really mean no. And some of us have the habit of saying, well, maybe, when they really want to say no. So today, I want to give you permission to say no. let's practice. You can say it. No. If it's something you don't want to do, what are you going to say? All right, we're going to say no. And you don't have to give a reason. You have the reason, and you're entitled to your reason. You're entitled to your feeling. No. I love asking the question now. What part of no didn't you understand? Because when I say no, I mean no. I think my grandchildren have it, because I used to tell them and their parents, if you ask me while I'm on the phone, my answer is going to be no. I know that most people say, yeah, so they can get away, get away. But my answer has always been no. You better know not to ask me when I'm busy for anything, especially if you want it. Because my answer is going to be no. I heard my grandson tell my granddaughter yesterday, my grandson is 12, his little sister is 5. Don't ask her now. She's in a Toastmasters meeting. Don't ask her. She's gonna say no. Did my granddaughter pay attention to her older brother? No. Nana, can I have a piece of pie? No. See, I told you not to ask her. I told you to meeting. No, please, no. My grandson learned that lesson. My children haven't learned it yet, but I do want you to know that no means no. And if you're going to say no, mean no. Don't change your mind, because we teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to pay attention to us. So you have to, like I had to learn, that my no means no. And I couldn't be wishy-washy with it. I had to stand firm and say no and mean no, because no is a complete sentence. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Awesome job, Dr. Crump. So many nuggets of wisdom in there. And I love the one where you said you don't have to have a reason to say no. I think we always feel like we have to have a reason and give that reason. So really some great thoughts in there. And thank you for sharing. We want to also welcome Carla and Jasmeet, who joined us a little bit, I think, after we started. So glad to see you today on Zoom. And we are going to go to our second speaker. And our second speaker is Ronke Aduke. And she is she chose for her pathway, innovative planning. And today she's going to talk about understanding your leadership style, and that will be 5 to 7 minutes long. And the title of her presentation is Let's Talk Leadership. So we appreciate that topic because that's what Toastmasters is all about. So Ronke, when you are ready, and I will be evaluating Ronke, and she on the agenda has provided her description of her project along with the evaluation tool. So that's what I'm going to use as I listen and observe and take notes. So Ronke, when you are ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Make sure. Okay. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and distinguished guests. I hope everyone is having a great day so far. My topic today is regarding leadership. And as I began preparing for my speech, I realized, let me first find out what is the definition of leadership. So I read, leadership is the action of leading a group of people or an organization. That was a very condensed definition. I apologize. I think I lost you all for a moment. So the definition of leadership is the action of leading a group or people, an organization. For me, that was a very condensed definition of leadership from everything Toastmaster had me to understand while discovering my leadership style. So I'll tell you a few things that I've learned about leadership, and then I'll discuss my leadership style, on the positive end, and then also the leadership style that is completely off base from me, and examples of how I've seen it play out in my life. Learned that there are 7 different leadership styles. Leadership styles of democratic, coaching, authoritative, affiliative, innovative, and altruistic, and lastly, bureaucratic. My leadership style is closely related to a democratic leader. What is a democratic leader? This leader concentrates on preparing individuals for the future by building skills. They are very effective with individuals that have not yet realized their full potential. And one other thing that stood out to me about the democratic leadership, which was maybe on the contrary, but I can definitely relate. It mentioned that this style is less effective when those being mentored are adverse to change. Wow, this stood out to me a lot. And one aspect of my life is educating others on health and wellness. In my role in educating others on health and wellness, one thing that I find to be the biggest obstacle is not the aspect of fitness, not the aspects of exercise, not the aspect of eating correctly, but it starts with the mindset, right? And what I found about the mindset when I'm helping others is I realize how important it is for others to be able to know what is in their control and what is out of their control. And being able to have a list of both allows you to know where should I place my efforts. And also with the mindset, I also saw that motivation was an issue. And with motivation, it almost goes hand in hand with what I saw and how I coach others. That when you have the right mindset, the motivation becomes almost automatic. Part of that is because you're able to know what you can control and then create healthy habits around that aspect that you can follow daily. And as a Democratic leader, or as I discovered I was a Democratic leader, I enjoyed helping others to really hone in on that and being able to differentiate between what is in their control and what is not, and then help them to create a plan that moves them forward. Now, on the contrary, I realized that I am not a bureaucratic leader. Now, this type of leader is very stringent and establishes and enforces rules, which can be bad, and which can be good, depending on the individual. This leader motivates by discipline and demands immediate compliance. Yeah. When I read about bureaucratic leadership, I said, this is completely off base from who I am. I never want to lead from a forceful aspect. I think people are more adverse to change as you are able to compliment them, and not compliment them in a physical way, but compliment what are the positive aspects about them. I think that people are more willing to change when they know that you are partnering with them, and not only partnering with them right now in the immediate, but also in the long term, and knowing that you'll be there throughout the process as they continue to grow and develop. And it made me think about a time when I needed leadership in my life, or when I was growing as a leader. And the interesting thing is that I didn't even realize that I was growing as a leader. I look back to a lot of books that I would read that definitely helped me move forward. But one instrumental aspect I want to talk about today was the importance of a mentor that I had that helped me grow in my leadership style. And then at the end of my speech, I want to provide you with a challenge that you can take home for yourself. I would discuss when I started out in the pharmaceutical industry as a quality assurance manager. It seems like so many moons ago, but I had a little one that was probably around 1 year old. And I remember specifically there was a project that we were working on in preparation for an FDA audit, and everyone was staying late. And I called home to my husband and I said, hey, I'm going to have to stay late. Cancel the plans we have for dinner, order some takeout because it's going to be a late night. And I spoke to my mentor, and she enlightened me, and she helped me to understand that the importance of priority. And she told me one thing that stuck with me for so long. She said, long after you've moved on from this job, or sorry, I'm in a room where the light is off, but long after when you've moved on from this job, or, if the job retains you, or if the job decides to change, the people that are going to be there for you is your family. And your family are the individuals that adore you and that need you and that you provide guidance to. And so it's imperative to make your decisions from that standpoint. Again, today, I will challenge you to either be a mentor to someone or find a mentor that's going in the direction that you want to go. And I believe that it will propel you light years ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ronke, for that thoughtful speech. Had lots of great information in there. So we appreciate that. And leadership is something that we all work on, no matter where we work, whether it's at home or in the office or in Toastmasters. So with that, our next portion of our meeting will be our table topics. And Dr. Alice Ann is going to lead us through table topics. And I'm going to turn it over to her. And we look forward to hearing your questions and maybe participating. So thank you.
All righty then. I am going to ask, who can I ask? I have no idea who's in the room with you. So I'm going to ask first, Carla. Carla, who is your celebrity crush and would you marry them? Who is your celebrity crush and would you marry them?
Thank you for that question. I have a lot of different celebrity crushes over my life, not because I know them as people, but just because of something that they've done, not because of how they look, but because of how they made me feel. So I'm going to talk about my very, very first celebrity crush because I was quite young and I do remember, and that was Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse had a great influence in my life because no matter what, Mickey Mouse was dorky, funny, but I always felt good because in the end, whatever Mickey Mouse did was something that was the right thing to do. And I remember always wanting to meet Mickey Mouse. Now, move till I'm in my early 20s, and I worked for the phone company at the time. It was called C&P Phone Company. And we had much like you have Google or whatever, who helps people to learn about safety, or Smokey the Bear, who teaches you not to start fires. We had Mickey Mouse, who taught people how to call 911. And I had the privilege of being Mickey Mouse in the full Mickey Mouse regalia and going to elementary schools and teaching children how to dial 911 in case of emergency. So not only did I have a crush on this little caricature, but I also had the opportunity to play that character as a young adult. That's my first, but not my last celebrity crush. Thank you. Back to you, Madam Table Topics.
MICKEYMOUSE. I love him too.
I adored him.
Yes. Absolutely. He was to be adored. Holly. Yes. Who else is in? I heard someone was in the room. Let me see who's in the room. All right, Andrew, would you like to come up and answer a question? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Who says I love you first? You or your significant other? Tell us about that story.
What a great question. Thank you so much for the opportunity to answer. This might come as a shock to those of you that are new to having known me, but I am a big softie. And I am definitely the romantic in my relationship and many of my past relationships and in my marriage today. And so I was the first one to drop the L-bomb on my then girlfriend, now wife of 12 years. We dated long distance for 2.5 years while I was in the Coast Guard, and she lived in Charlotte and I lived in New Orleans. And so we'd get on a plane about every 6 weeks just to kind of maintain the relationship. During that time, we read a book called The 5 Love Languages, which I would recommend to anybody that is in any relationship of any type. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service, gifts, and quality time. I very quickly discovered that my wife and I have opposing love languages. Mine are words of affirmation and physical touch. Hers are acts of service and quality time. So naturally, I was the one that stepped out on the branch and told her that I loved her within, I think, 3 months of us dating, which some of you are probably flabbergasted because that probably feels very, very quick. It felt right on time for me. And about 3 months later, she reciprocated. So I got a great thank you when I decided to drop that on her. And we've weathered many storms since then. So thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit about my love life today.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. That is amazing. And it's amazing that you talked about the 5 love languages, because my next question has something to do with that. Wanted to know from our Southpark Toastmaster, Valencia, what is your love language?
Thank you for this question, Madam Table Topics Master. My number 1 love language is acts of service. I love doing things for people. That's how I show I love you. And I love for people to do things for me, even though they don't. But I'll tell you that one thing I need to learn, I cannot blame anyone for this, and this is advice that I have for all of you. Regardless of what your number 1 love language is, we cannot be afraid to ask for what we need. It is my fault that I don't have more service in my life. The people around me would totally do anything I ask them to do because I am good to them. Believe me, I am. All I would have to do is say, can you do this for me? Would you mind doing that for me? Can you pick this up? And it seems so simple, but I'm so independent and I'm in the routine of doing things for myself and I'm exhausted. I exhaust myself with this. But thank you for reminding me, Dr. Allison, that I need to ask for what I need. 2023, my advice from you is to ask for what I need, and no is a complete sentence. Those are 2 things I'm definitely going to use this year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we need to ask for what we need. Remember, we teach people how to treat us. But we have to do what we need. We need to say, I need this or I need that, whatever it is, even if it's the love language. I need you to tell me you love me. I need you to do something for me. I need you to think about me. I need to be a first thought and not an afterthought. I don't even want to be second thought.
Dr. Crump, do you have one more?
Think of me first. That's what I need. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Do you have one more
And
question? We have a guest that will take one if you have one.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. Come on. Okay. Fictional character to be your Valentine. Who would that be?
Okay, Lewis is our guest. I'm gonna have him come up. I carefully asked, would he be willing? He said yes, so here he is, and maybe repeat the question for him.
All right. If you could have one fictional character as your Valentine, who would that be?
Thank you for the question, Dr. Crump. If I had one Valentine, if I had one if I had one fictional character that I would choose to be my Valentine, I would choose apologies, I'm trying to run through my head who I would choose. Uh maybe the princess from one of the Disney movies. I apologize, I can't remember her exact name, but as a kid watching those movies, I remember you know, I remember seeing her perform in those Disney movies, and really was amazed by her performance and looks throughout the movie, and that's the reason why I would choose her as the fictional character to be my Valentine. Thank you.
All right. Well, who wouldn't want a princess? That's absolute.
I could just picture those
That's
princesses.
absolute. Who wouldn't want a princess? Right, who wouldn't want a princess? All right. Thank you so much, Louis. Yay! Great job. Do we have time for any more, or we should move
I think we
on?
better move on to our evaluations.
Thank you, everyone, for participating in our Valentine table topic. Yay!
Thanks, Dr. Crump. Those questions were amazing. And I think we learned a whole lot about all of us. So that was really fun and really got us thinking. All right. So with that, we've completed our table topics. We're going to move on to our general evaluation portion of the meeting. And Valencia is going to lead us through that final part of our meeting. So thank you, Valencia.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. That was a lot of fun. I love talking about love. It's one of my favorite things to talk about, and the world needs more of it. I will get into our general evaluation portion of the meeting by starting with our round robin for Dr. Alice Ann. Does anyone have any feedback for Dr. Alice Ann as we go around the room? Yes, Carla, thank you.
First of all, Dr. Alice Ann, I want to thank you very much for reminding me, and I'm sure everybody here, about willing to say the word no and to stick to it. I have that as a personal problem that I'm trying very much to work on, and to say yes to myself more and no to others. Even though I want to be of service, I have been known to way overextend myself and exhaust myself for the sake of meeting obligations and doing those things. So first of all, thank you for that. Good story. I have one piece of constructive criticism or comment, and I don't know if there's anything that can be done about it. And that is that sometimes I was not hearing what you were saying as you were moving in or out, or something was causing your microphone to go away. And I don't know if that's a technology problem or a signal problem or what. So it's not really anything that you said, but something to be aware of, that you're part of what you're saying is being cut off. I don't have any solution, just trying to make you aware of it. Very inspired. Thank you for reminding me. As Valencia said, I'm sure the rest of us are thinking that if you're not doing enough service, be of service. But if you're doing too much, it is okay to say no. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you, Carla. Anyone else? I think we might have time for maybe two more. If someone has feedback for Dr. Alice Ann.
Okay. We have one. Who was going to say a few comments as well?
Yeah, Dr. Crump, I have just one compliment. I think when you were talking about the arguments that you had with, or the arguments that your grandchildren were having with each other, the way that you altered your voice. I felt like I could hear or picture their argument with each other. So I wanted to give you a compliment there. That was really great.
Thank you, Lewis. And thank you for stepping up twice today. That is awesome for a new visitor.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I just like the way Dr. Crump always begins her speeches in a way that captures our attention. You know, she begins with something like, I think today it was no, 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 I believe. And it's such a effective way to start and draw us in as the listener. And she's awesome at that for every speech she gives, but I just wanted to say that. And it's her responses are always heartfelt and come from a place deep inside of her.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. And I think, Debbie, you are our evaluator for Ronke's speech. If you would come up and give Ronke her evaluation.
Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
As I listened to Ronke, she had, her project was really to talk about different styles of leadership and then share with us what her style of leadership was. And I believe she followed the project guidelines thoroughly, and she began with just the different types of leadership that are out there. She also then went on to share her style, which she described as democratic. She then talked a little bit about her personal story of a mentor she had that gave her some very, very good advice. And she ended with an action step. And a lot of times when we give speeches, we think, what can we give to the audience that takes our speech and our words that we're sharing one step further? So an action step is just an awesome way to keep it going. And she did a fabulous job of doing all of those things. When I listened to Ronke, she is poised. Her voice is very clear and strong. She uses gestures, and you could see those gestures on Zoom, which is something sometimes we have to work at, but she really did a great job. Her pacing was very even. She seemed to feel very confident in her message. And I am not aware that she was using any notes. So that's like a huge testimony to someone that's given a speech, if you can do it without notes. So I think she did a fabulous job. I think the only suggestion I might have is, and this is more related to Zoom, is that it's hard. It was hard for me to see your face, and I wanted to see the eye contact, and I wanted to see the expression, but I was just not able to do that as clearly as I wanted to, because that's such a important part of your message and you as a person. So I loved your speech, and I look forward to the next one as you go down your pathway. And thanks for sharing that speech with us today. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you all for those evaluations. I just wanted to give a little bit of feedback on those evaluations. They were excellent. And I'll tell you, coming from various angles of feedback, we heard from Debbie that when she was giving Dr. Alisand feedback, that she loved her opening. It reminded us to really think back on that. Carla gave some feedback. She started out with her positives, and then she also talked about some technical issues. So if Dr. Alisand wasn't aware of going off sound and things like that, I think that would be that's very helpful information to have. And then Lewis reminded us of the argument between the grandchildren. I appreciated that. Debbie, in your evaluation of Ronke, you talked about her content, and then you were reviewing your notes on her evaluation. And when you wanted to address her directly, you put your notes down and gave her feedback about Zoom and how you wanted to see her and the eye contact. And that was an excellent way to give an evaluation. All of us can take notes from each other on giving wonderful evaluations and all of the feedback that was received today. So thank you all for participating in that. It's much appreciated. I will get into now our grammarian, well, that's me, to give feedback about our filler words and other things that stood out in our meeting today. In Dr. Alice Ann's speech, she had two things that I wrote down for notes. What part of no don't you understand? No one's ever directed this towards me, but I think I love this quote. I really do. We teach people how to treat us. This is one that I use all the time. So I'm really glad that you did use that one. Thank you for that. Raquel, you had a quote today in the beginning of your speech that I meant to write down, but I was engaging. Mindset, something motivation. What was that?
I'll have to think through it, but I didn't have notes on it. But it was probably regarding the importance that I find in helping individuals, that mindset is usually the biggest hurdle to overcome. And once most of us are able to adopt the correct mindsets, we're able to build the correct habits that we need to flourish.
Yes, yes.
I hope that was it.
That was the gist, the spirit of it. It was,
Okay.
but the alliteration is what really captivated me. So I wish I wrote down the middle words between mindset and motivation. Thank you.
If it comes to me, I'll definitely email you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. Your filler words were, I could tell as you were thinking through your speech today, you held on to your ums, and you also held on to your ands as transitions as you were thinking. And I always tell people, we do that when we need to pause, take a breath, think, instead of saying or and, just take that pause and that breath. The other, you use and so sparingly, not much, but the ums and ands there were many. I won't tell you how many, but just many. Carla, in your table topics, you said your crush was Mickey Mouse. Girl, hush your mouth. Minnie gonna get you. But you also used some extra ands and one but filler words were great. But you got my attention when you said Mickey Mouse because I love Kermit. And you said you dressed in full regalia. I said, ooh, that's elegant. Andrew, a lot of us today. And then the double clutch is and so when we use those together, just to be mindful of that. But you said you and your wife had opposing love languages. I wrote that down, opposing love languages. And Lewis, thank you so much for volunteering today as a first timer. I did make note and I just wanted to give you some feedback on it. I won't tell you how many. And those are your filler words. So just be mindful of that as you're speaking. And were the ones that you held on to. Adore was our word of the day today, and both Sonia and Dr. Alice Ann used those words. Yes, thank you for that. And that was all I had as grammarian. Now I will call on our timer report.
Carla used the word of the day.
Who did?
Carla.
Carla, you did? I missed it. I'm sorry, Carla. I didn't write it
I
down.
adore how we always reset. Fantastic. And we celebrate. So big up, big up, big up. For the timers report, Dr. Alice Ann, you came in at 5 minutes and 28 seconds. Ron K, it's good to see your face. We adore seeing you back in the room. You came in at 6 minutes and 26 seconds. Carla, for your table topic, 1 minute and 47 seconds. And for your evaluation of Dr. Alice Ann, 1 minute and 30 seconds. Andrew, for your table topic, 1 minute and 43 seconds. Valencia, for your table topic, 1 minute and 23 seconds. Lewis, you went for the green and you got it for your table topics. 1 minute and 28 seconds. And for your impromptu evaluation of Dr. Alexander, 28 seconds, but that's good because you weren't prepared to do an evaluation today. You did it, so we love it. Debbie, for your impromptu evaluation of Dr. Alexander, 30 seconds. And for your full evaluation of Ron K, 2 minutes and 23 seconds. Thank you so much for allowing me to get the timers report.
And now back to our Toastmaster of the day, Debbie.
All right, so yep, we're winding down our meeting. And at this time, we want to just thank everybody for their participation. We had 2 fabulous speeches, a great general evaluation, and lots of fun with our table topics and great reports from all of our people that took on a role. At this time, we also ask our guest for thoughts and reactions to the meeting today. So I'm going to go back to Louis, who has been a spectacular first-time guest with us today, and just thoughts or opinions on the meeting, anything that comes to your mind.
Yeah, what stood out to me is how structured the timing is and how well the meeting flowed from beginning to end. That was the main takeaway that I had. And I also enjoyed the feedback that was given by the evaluators. Not just, there was compliments, but there was also constructive criticism, right? And using the ums or ands. So those are my 2 key takeaways for today.
Excellent. Those were really awesome observations. So we thank you for that, and we welcome you back every Monday at the same time. And we will reach out with you with membership information as well. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add before we end our meeting? Carla?
I also want to echo your comment about Louis participating as a first-time visitor. That takes a lot of courage. The second thing I want to say is I'm suffering terribly this Valentine week because I'm in Kill Devil Hills, and I don't know if you can see behind me, it might be on blur, but I have the bay behind me. It's a very hard life I'm leading right now. So just thought I'd share that with you, that I am not at home, but I'm on travel and enjoying Kill Devil Hills for my Valentine's week. So take care. Thank you.
Thanks, Carla. We're so glad you made it today, and we wish you safe travels. Anybody else? Jasmine, do you have any thoughts?
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I would just say that it's not just I learn about public speaking here, but I take back a lot. I also, learn a lot of life lessons here. Today, for example, it was a perfect occasion to talk about self-love, as Sonia started with it. And then Dr. Crum talking about, saying no without having to give a reason. And then Ronke talked about setting priorities, and Valencia about, ask for what you need. So these are the things that I've been working on, and, I'm trying to improve, as well as, along with learning about, the public speaking. And I'm really amazed and really inspired by all of you. And I also want to call out one more person that I'm inspired by. It's it's Rihanna during the halftime yesterday. I'm really inspired by her. She was amazing. She was beautiful. She was powerful. She's pregnant, but she did an amazing job. And it is really inspiring, and I'm humble. Thank you.
Thanks, Jasmine. Well, if no one else has any other comments, we will just thank everybody for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next Monday, same time. Please consider signing up for a role. And as we always say, if it's your first time, we'll be there with you. And the agenda offers guidance that you might need. And it'd be just great to hear from other members and allow everyone to take on that leadership practice. So thanks so much, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day and have a great week.
And
Bye-bye.
shout out to our new member, Andrew. Woo, woo.
Oh, yes. Yes, he left.
Ah!
He left, so we'll
We'll get
make
him
sure
next
he gets
time.
his new member pin next time.
All
So
right,
he
fam.
had to go
Just,
pick up his daughter. All right,
stay
everybody,
blessed and
take
safe, fam.
Bye. Good to see everyone.
Good job, Debbie. Oh, I can't hear you now. Well, let me stop recording.